Hey everyone, and welcome back to NexGen News. I'm Giovanna.
And I'm Oscar.
And this is NexGen News. We're very excited to bring you our first newscast of 2021.
I'm just bursting with anticipation.
Okay, well, before you burst, Oscar, let's head to our top story. Hey Oscar, did you see that incident that happened at the U.S. Capitol building?
How could I miss it? People climbing up the walls like Spider-Man, breaking the windows to get into Congress, damaging property. It was absolute chaos, but I'm not sure why these people stormed the Capitol building. Do you know why?
I sure do. You see, Congress is meeting that day to officially verify Joe Biden as the president-elect, and the protesters were trying to block that from happening. They seem to think that the election was stolen.
Okay, but I thought Biden was declared the winner back in November. Why did this happen in January?
Well, Congress always meets on January 6th to count the electoral votes. This is the final process of declaring the next president of the United States, and it always comes just 2 weeks before the presidential inauguration. Are you going to watch the inauguration this year?
Yes, I'm planning on it, but I never watched one before. What really goes on at an inauguration?
You've come to the right place. I love inaugurations. It's my favorite event that happens every 4 years, besides the Olympics.
Great. I have a lot of questions.
Oh, and I have all the answers.
Well, okay then. Where does the inauguration take place?
Well, the very first inauguration was held in New York City, which was the capital of the United States at the time. Nowadays, it's held in Washington, D.C. on the steps of the Capitol building. The first president to be inaugurated in Washington, D.C. was Thomas Jefferson in 1801.
Okay, that answers my where question. Next up, I want to know when exactly does the inauguration take place?
Oh, I got you. Well, to answer that question, we'll have to take a look at the Constitution. You see, the presidential inauguration used to be held on March 4th, but in the 1930s, the 20th Amendment to the Constitution changed the date to January 20th. This was to shorten the lame duck period.
Lame duck period? Is that like when Donald Duck goes on a break at Disneyland? You can't take a picture with him?
No.
Well then, I have a new question. What is lame duck period?
I thought you'd never ask. The term lame duck refers to the transition period between the outgoing presidential administration and the new administration. The lame duck period lasts from when the presidential election is called until the inauguration. It used to last until March 4th, because back then, this much time was needed in order to make sure all of the votes were counted and reported to the Capitol. But with the lame duck period that long, major problems could arise. Take, for example, the election of 1860. It was after that election that 7 states left the Union. This period was also known as Secession Winter. At that time, President-elect Abraham Lincoln could only watch as the country split, while President James Buchanan chose not to act. Talk about walking into a divided country. Luckily, as technology started to advance, votes could be recorded quicker and reported to the Capitol in a shorter amount of time. So a long lame duck period wasn't necessary, hence the date change of the inauguration to January 20th. Nowadays, the lame duck period is used to fill cabinet positions and to learn about the work of the outgoing administration.
I get it. It's like the previous president is the lame duck.
Exactly.
Okay, I bet you can stump you with this next question. Who was the last president to be inaugurated on March 4th instead of January 20th?
Nice try, but I know this one too. The answer is Franklin Delano Roosevelt, also known as FDR. In 1933, the United States was in the middle of the Great Depression, and President-elect FDR was not able to implement his New Deal right away because the inauguration was not until March 4th. This caused even more financial turmoil. Because of this mess, the 20th Amendment was created, and since 1937, all presidents have been inaugurated on January 20th. The only exception is if the 20th falls on a Sunday. Then the president-elect will take the oath of office in a private ceremony, and on the 21st, they will take the public oath.
Wow, you really are a wealth of knowledge. My next question is, what happens at presidential inaugurations?
First, the vice president takes their oath of office. Then the new president takes their oath of office. It goes like this.
I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Once they've said these words, they become the commander-in-chief and give a speech to address the people. After, the celebrations begin. Many of the traditions we practice now emerge from past inaugurations. For example, in 1805, Thomas Jefferson rode on horseback from the Capitol all the way to the White House. This eventually became the parade that we see today. In addition to parade, there are performances such as poetry, music, and prayer. During Barack Obama's 2009 inauguration, Aretha Franklin performed My Country 'Tis of Thee. Fun fact, did you know that Barack Obama's first inauguration was the most attended ever, with 1.8 million people on the National Mall in Washington, D.C.?
Well, that's a lot of people and does not sound very COVID friendly. I wonder how President-elect Biden's inauguration will be.
Well, according to the president-elect, his inauguration will definitely be scaled back for everyone's safety due to the COVID-19 pandemic. While he will still be inaugurated on the steps of the U.S. Capitol, he wants to avoid the large crowds that normally line up along the National Mall and Pennsylvania Avenue. Like many things in 2020, this inauguration will be mostly virtual. Biden himself said you'll see a lot of virtual activity in states all across America, engaging even more people than before. Thank goodness for technology.
Even though this inauguration will be different, I'm still excited to watch, especially now that I have the inside scoop. Thanks, Giovanna.
You're welcome. And if you ever need random political facts, I'm your girl. Please make sure to tune into the 2021 presidential inauguration. Not only will Joe Biden be inaugurated, but also Kamala Harris, the first female vice president in history. You can't miss this memorable moment. Hey Oscar, what's your favorite fast food restaurant?
Oh man, I love Ramen Ichiraku, but I also love Mr. Beast's Burger and Sonic. Oh, and McDonald's. It's just so hard to choose.
Oh, McDonald's is the best for sure. Love their fries. But did you know the concept of fast food is not new? Archaeologists just discovered fast food and drink shop in the ancient city of Pompeii, Italy. The Pompeii food counters looked a bit different than at McDonald's. They were covered with beautifully painted frescoes that showed some of the foods or animals for sale, such as chicken and ducks. Archaeologists found cooking utensils, a bronze drinking bowl, and even traces of 2,000-year-old food that was kept in terracotta jars.
Hold up. Did you just say 2,000-year-old food? How is that possible?
Well, do you know what happened in Pompeii about 2,000 years ago?
No idea.
Well, let's take a trip to Pompeii, Italy, where Trenton is ready for some NexGen history.
Hey NexGen News, Trenton here in Pompeii, Italy. Although it doesn't look like it now, this city was once a thriving, sophisticated community of about 13,000 people that became part of the Roman Empire. Pompeii was full of theaters, gymnasiums, fountains, and even fast food shops, apparently. So what happened to this once prosperous city? Well, the answer is pure destruction. You see, Pompeii was located about 10 miles from Mount Vesuvius, an active volcano. And on August 24th in 79 CE, Common Era, Mount Vesuvius erupted. This volcanic eruption propelled lava, pumice stone, and hot ash 21 miles into the air at 1.5 million tons per second. That is 3 billion pounds of hazardous material per second. Imagine looking up into the sky and seeing that above you. An onlooker from across the bay, Pliny the Younger, wrote a letter recalling, "Darkness fell, not the dark of the moonless or cloudy night, but as if a lamp had been put out in a dark room." In this darkness, some citizens were able to flee Pompeii in time, but most were crushed and killed either from falling debris or molten lava. The eruption lasted 2 days and decimated the entire city, leaving it buried in ash. And that is how Pompeii stayed, untouched, frozen in time, for over 1,600 years. Until it was discovered in the 1700s and excavated by archaeologists. What they found was truly incredible. Because the city was covered in a blanket of lava and ash, it was like it had been asleep for 1,600 years, and the city and its citizens were preserved. Over time, Archaeologists excavated hundreds of buildings, including shops and houses. They also discovered an immense amphitheater and palæstra, or outdoor gymnasium. And now, a fast food shop with jars of food. But the most insane discovery of all were the bodies. I know what you're thinking, how could bodies last for 1,600 years? Well, when the people of Pompeii were covered in ash, their bodies calcified and it formed a protective shell. By looking at these bodies, archaeologists can see how the people of Pompeii spent their last moments. Like I said, incredible. Pompeii is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and archaeologists have been excavating it longer than any other site in the world to discover new secrets of the past, such as a 2,000-year-old fast food shop. I wonder if they had ketchup back then. Anyways, I'm Trenton, and thanks for taking a trip to the past for NexGen History.
Hey Giovanna, you've probably heard of recycling, but have you heard of upcycling?
Did you say upcycling? Is that like cycling up a hill?
Nice try, but no. Upcycling is kind of like recycling because you're reusing something you already have, but you're making it something even better, kind of like leveling it up.
So like the Ciara song, level up, level up, level up, level up.
What? Let's get back to the story. In Taiwan, an island nation off the coast of China, fashion designer Wang Liling has taken upcycling to a whole new level. Liling scours dumps for metal, wires, and bolts from the power industry that are 20 to 30 years old. And then she'll upcycle these materials to design clothes that are runway ready, and then it's lights, garbage, action.
Wow, that's really cool. I wonder if I can buy upcycled clothes at Forever 21 or H&M.
Actually, you can't. Stores like Forever 21 and H&M produce fast fashion. Fast fashion is a $2.5 trillion industry and is the second most polluting industry in the world, behind oil. It takes trends from the runway and produces them in a cheap way to allow everyone to take part in the latest trends. Let's now hear from Taiwanese lifestyle influencer Andrew Chen on the impacts of fast fashion.
Everyone knows that the fashion industry is fast fashion. It is very wasteful, so how do we recreate new things with the old and using creative ideas to present them? I am actually very much in awe today.
That's amazing. Not only is upcycling good for the environment, but I could also have one-of-a-kind fashion pieces.
Exactly. I thought we could try some upcycling of our own today. Giovanna, what would you make using garbage bags, ribbon, beads, packaging material, and ornament hooks?
That sounds like a challenge. I'm ready.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, Giovanna, show me what you got.
I upcycled ornament hooks, beads, and garbage bags to make an 80s prom dress.
Well, that's leveling up. I made a star platinum costume using packaging materials, ribbons, and ornament hooks. I think it's time for a sustainable fashion show.
I think so. Lights,
Garbage, action.
I totally won that fashion show. Perfect score.
If I would have just added the beads, I would have gotten a perfect score too.
Sure. Maybe fashion just isn't your thing.
This rating system was unfair. Who gets a perfect score anyways?
Well, Oscar, have you heard of Gabby Douglas or Simone Biles?
Yeah, they are both gymnasts, right?
Yes. Gabby Douglas is a 3-time Olympic gold medalist, and Simone Biles has 5 Olympic medals, 4 gold and 1 bronze.
That's a lot of gold.
Sure is, but they're so much more important than Olympic medals. Douglas and Biles have shown black girls everywhere that they belong in the sport. Simone Biles, who is 2 years younger than Douglas, once said, "I remember watching Gabby Douglas win the 2012 Olympics, and I was like, if she can do it, I can do it." Today, we want to highlight an up-and-coming gymnast who has been inspired by both Douglas and Biles. Meet 13-year-old Tyla Morris. At the age of 1, she crawled to the edge of her bed and did the splits. By age 3, she mastered the cartwheel and was able to flip all the way around the length of a football field. Her dream is to go to UCLA and then the Olympics. People used to tell her mother, "Put this girl in gymnastics classes." But there was a problem. Gymnastics classes are expensive and Morris's mom couldn't afford it.
What? That's totally unfair.
Unfortunately, this issue is extremely common. Families with money can afford to put their children in extracurricular activities, whereas families with less money often cannot. And you're right, Oscar, it's not fair. But there is more to this story. Tyla Morris and her mom did not give up, and raw talent met opportunity 2 years ago when she began taking classes for free at the Wendy Hillard Gymnastics Foundation, which offers free and discounted classes for children in Detroit and New York. Since then, Tyla has been perfecting her tumbling and trampoline routines and has made friends with other gymnasts. She even calls them her sisters. Tyla's gymnastics studio has had to close due to COVID-19, but she's still staying in shape with Zoom classes, ab workouts, and push-ups. Nothing will stop this girl from reaching her dreams. As she recently told her mom, "Oh mom, I'm going to the Olympics. I'm gonna buy you a house, a car, and everything is going to be good. I'm going to the Olympics."
Well, Tyla, Olympics 2024, here you come. Assuming the 2020 Olympics ever happens.
Seriously. Oscar, do you think Tyla could be this week's person to watch?
Oh, 100%. Not just this week, but for her whole career. Tyla, we believe in you.
Well, NexGen viewers, that about wraps up our show for today.
I'm Oscar.
And I'm Giovanna, and we are NexGen News.
Bringing news to the next generation.